Alright, we got the 251 spoilers, and this chapter is absolutely crazy. We're continuing the battle between Yuji, Akotsu, and Sukuna, because in the previous chapter we saw that Akotsu was able to use Sukuna's own curse technique, Cleave, against him. And that was the cliffhanger, and this chapter begins with Yuta revealing that he copied Sukuna's curse technique by using the last remaining Sukuna finger. So that's crazy. We were speculating about this a lot in the previous chapter review. We had a lot of possibilities, and we did talk about them possibly using Sukuna's remaining finger because Sukuna wasn't able to get all of them. He only had 19 of his 20, and he speculated that Gojo was like keeping the last one, and he definitely was. And they somehow used it to have Akotsu copy his curse technique. Rika or he did something. We still don't know the conditions that he has to copy things, but they use Sukuna's finger, and I don't think it's destroyed. I'm not sure if they can destroy it. I think the only person that can destroy it is Angel, but then again, we don't really know everything. Both Yuji and Yuta engage in close level combat with Sukuna. Yuji is highly determined to end everything with this last chance. He even spits blood in Sukuna's face as an attack, and Yuji tells him that this is the last chance to defeat Sukuna and bring back Megumi. So yeah, the battle is getting really raw here, but the blood spitting stuff is actually a part of Yuji's strategy, and it's going to come back into play later. Rika grabs hold of Sukuna and slams him down while Yuji lands a kick on Sukuna at the same time. Sukuna realizes that his cursed energy output and control over Megumi's body has gotten pretty dull. So yeah, it's getting to the point of where Sukuna is getting exhausted here because of Yuji's attack. Like, whatever Yuji has learned over the time skip with the soul stuff, he's been hitting Sukuna, and he's been using like his cursed energy to reverberate within him and weaken the barrier between Sukuna and Megumi's soul, and that's also weakened Sukuna's cursed energy output. And now he's finally feeling it. To counterattack, Sukuna disables Hollow Wicker Basket and plans to unleash the World-Cutting Slash while trying to tank damage from Angel's Jacob Ladder. So yeah, Sukuna with his 4 arms has been using his 2 bottom arms to activate Hollow Wicker Basket, which is like the simple domain ability that's protecting him from Akotsu's domain by getting hit by the sure hit. And he needs all 4 arms free to use the World Cutting Slash, the same ability that he used to kill Gojo. But he's just like thinking that, no, I'll just, use all my arms, because he knows that they're going to use Angel's Jacob Ladder against him. But Yuji and Yuta have already predicted that Sukuna would make such a plan. They try to tie up Sukuna's hands while continuing to attack Sukuna, and Yuta notices that Sukuna's slashes are getting weaker and decides to move closer towards Sukuna without fearing. Yuta cuts off one of Sukuna's arms, and Yuji makes the blood which he had spit on Sukuna's face explode. So yeah, Yuji still somehow able to use blood manipulation here. We saw off panel that he was able to use piercing blood on Sukuna, so I guess he learned something from Choso or something. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because he does come from the same lineage as Choso and the other Cursed Womb death paintings, because they were all made by Kenjaku, and he did have the blood manipulation from Noritoshi Kamo back in the day, so it is what it is. Small flashback to Yuji narrating that souls can be basically combined just a little, but they never become one, as per Yuki's notes. With that, Yuji says that he will surely wake up Megumi's soul. So yeah, in a flashback here, we're seeing Yuji going over the soul notebook that Sukuna was able to leave to Choso before she died against Kenjaku, which was of course passed on to Yuji. And we're finding out that, as it says, 2 souls can never be combined, meaning that like when a reincarnated sorcerer takes over somebody's body the same way that Sukuna has taken over Megumi's, their 2 souls won't like fuse together. So they can be split apart in theory. And Hana adds that Angel's curse technique is a good matchup for Yuji's plan, and the plan is to separate Sukuna and Megumi's soul and dull Sukuna's tuning with Megumi's body and hit him with Jacob's Ladder. So yeah, they want to split Sukuna from Megumi's body, or their soul at least, because once their souls are not close together anymore, Angel can hit Sukuna with Jacob's Ladder and then extinguish his curse technique, and then in theory kill Sukuna without killing Megumi, because if they didn't do that, Sukuna's curse technique would still be tied to Megumi's brain. Therefore, Jacob's Ladder would kill him as well. But if they're able to split the souls, then Megumi should be able to survive. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Wanted Dead. Wanted Dead is a love letter to the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation of video games. It has an amazing hack and gunfu combat system where the player is required to juggle between melee combat with katana and a pistol and range combat to progress through the story. It embodies the cyberpunk vision of the late 80s with a technologically primitive world that remains stuck in the early 90s that leads to a mix of advanced weaponry and low-tech 90s retro. In other words, this is a cyberpunk like no one has ever seen before. Step into a mesmerizing world so immersive that reality may fade away as you'll be swept off your feet by breathtaking anime cutscenes that seamlessly progress. Despite the serious setting, the game has a self-aware approach and a great story full of pop culture jokes and Easter eggs. Also, every level ends with a challenging boss fight, and each has a unique moveset and style that each require a unique approach to beat. It also requires the player to master controls and adapt to every enemy encounter. Otherwise, the game would quickly end with the game over screen. If one wants to test their gaming skills, Wanted Dead is a perfect choice. Also guys, Wanted Dead recently got a new patch which brings significant improvements in performance via a DLSS update, alongside the inclusion of SFR support. This update introduces support for Steam Cloud saves and a statistics menu for easier tracking of achievements and trophies. More patches and updates are also on the way, so make sure you don't overlook the exceptional 2023 adventure Wanted Dead. Despite being initially unnoticed, it has garnered attention from gamers and prominent sources such as Kotaku and Gaming Bolt. And right now, the game is on sale with discounts of up to 67% off. The sale will be active until February 21st on Steam and February 28th on PlayStation. And with the frequent updates and this sale, it's an ideal moment to get involved. So don't let this chance slip away. Use my link in the description below to get the game right now. Thanks, guys. While Rika and Yuji grab hold of Sukuna's arms, Yuta activates Angel's curse technique maximum output, Jacob's ladder, and we can see Sukuna burnt to a crisp after receiving the attack. So yeah, Yuji and Rika like straight up grab Sukuna's arms here. It kind of reminds me of the Infinity War sequence when they're grabbing Thanos and trying to take the gauntlet off of him, but they're holding him so that he's kind of like vulnerable to getting hit by Jacob's ladder here, and he does. And after that happens, Yuji moves back and hits Sukuna with his soul attack punch while saying, "Wake up, Fushiguro." Yuji had calculated everything precisely, but Megumi's soul no longer had the will to live. Yuji sees Megumi repeatedly saying, "I don't care anymore." So that's wild. Yuji is able to go inside of like Sukuna's soul world or Megumi's soul world or whatever's going on. It's very similar to when Yuji and Sukuna would meet each other when Sukuna still lived inside of him. And we just see like Megumi on the ground, like on his knees with his face buried. And he's just saying, "I don't care anymore." And he's not really responding to Yuji, to be honest. Or his attempts at saying, "Wake up." And I think this is playing into the end game of the series. I mean, we're in the end game now, but this is like the end game. And I'll go way more into not only what I think is going to happen with Megumi and how he's going to play into the end of the series, but everything else in this chapter. I'm kind of just glancing over things, but, you know, please subscribe for my full chapter review, which will probably be out tomorrow, I think. And also, guys, if you can, please follow me on TikTok or Instagram, whichever platform you like to use more. I'll have the links in the description. I upload every day on them. I put TikToks and Reels out. I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers on either platform, so I really would appreciate it if you did that, guys. Thank you. Sukuna immediately hits Yuta, Rika, and Yuji with the world-cutting slash. So this is another wild thing happening here. After Sukuna gets hit with the Jacob's ladder, he is burnt, but he survives again. Like, he was hit by this thing twice. Like back in, I think, chapter 213, he was hit by it, he survived it. Now he's surviving it again. And as soon as he comes to, he launches the world-cutting slash. Remember, the same thing that he killed Gojo with. And it's going through Akotsu here. Like going through his arm, going through his chest. Like it seems to be like a clean cut through. And I think this might be the last time that we see Akotsu here in the chapter. So I don't know if he's dead, but I really wouldn't be surprised if he is. Not really sure about Rika, but you know, if Akotsu dies, I'm sure Rika will die as well. And I guess Yuji, despite being hit by this, will probably survive too. I don't know, maybe because Sukuna's cursed energy output is dulled, he can survive it now or something with immediate reverse curse technique. But Maki enters the battle and pierces Sukuna with her soul splitter katana. So yeah, at the end of the chapter, another crazy twist. Akotsu's domain breaks down and Maki comes in, or maybe she was there the whole time waiting or something, because, you know, she has no cursed energy, therefore she has heavenly restriction, which barriers and domain expansions can't detect her, so she can just kind of move around invisibly. And she's stabbing Sukuna in the back with her soul splitter katana. This is like the same sequence that we saw Maki do against Naoya when she killed, like, cursed Naoya. The same thing. Like, she came in secretly into the domain, stabbed him in the back, but Sukuna doesn't really seem worried by this, interestingly enough. Because, you know, this soul splitter katana can just kill you, right? Because it's just targeting the soul. So maybe Sukuna has some kind of backup for this, but this could be the way that they split Sukuna from Megumi now. Or this is just where Sukuna dies. But, you know, we'll see what happens, guys. Like I said, I'm going to go way more into all of this stuff into my chapter review. So look out for that. Probably be out tomorrow morning. If you liked it, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know everything you think about this in the comments. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.